Good morning, my dear friends and fellow citizens. Today, the 26th January 2024, we are celebrating 74th Republic Day as a national festival. It is the day on which the Indian Constitution authored by Baba Sahib Ambedkar came into force, and we are celebrating this occasion just 4 days after the Ayodhya event, which was supposed to be a spiritual and religious event and not connected to the state. But the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, donning the mantle of the prime devotee cum priest, led the religious rituals with high pomp and show amid media blaze as if it is a state event. No doubt, Modi government will also celebrate the Republic Day with much gusto, without trace of irony that it has hallowed out the essence of the Constitution during its 9-year rule of the country. The truth is that neither this event represents the priorities of majority Indians who wish to live in peace with their neighbors without caring for caste, religion, region, or language, and more worried about jobs, food security, education, socio-economic, and political equality and justice. But unfortunately, this event sent wrong signal to the whole world that India's long cherished values as enshrined in the Constitution and preamble of the Constitution to achieve the object of liberty, equality, and fraternity with unity in diversity and integrity of the nation are increasingly coming to a rapid end. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, addressing the Constituent Assembly in the year 1949, described liberty, equality, and fraternity as principles of life which cannot be divorced from each other. He further said, without equality, liberty will produce the supremacy of a few over the many. He was prescient, and his forewarning is increasingly becoming true. On 22nd Monday, January 2004, India saw a spectacle that is rare in the modern world, a complete merger of religion and state, as the central government declared quasi-national holiday, while most of the BJP-ruled states declared it a holiday. The Prime Minister Modi presented himself in the image of a medieval Hindu monarch, involved in a religious ceremony all by himself that melded the state and faith, which is the final indication that India is now a de facto Hindu state or Rashtra, bypassing the law of the land, that is the Constitution of India. The rise of this kind of majoritarian hegemonic tendencies, making use of electoral victory, has significantly and progressively diluted the constitutional mandate, weakened the trappings of democracy, checks on the executive, parliament, and judiciary, and federalism are now weak and ineffectual. What is the significance of a temple or a mosque or a gurudwara or a church event for that matter? It is nothing but a matter of personal faith and worship. It should not be made or transformed into a political symbol of national pride in a democratic secular republic country. This kind of celebration under the sponsorship of the state or the government is worrisome and a painful indications and a demonstration of majoritarianism and polarization of the society, and goes against the very secular values of the country and core objectives of the Constitution enshrined in its preamble and basic structure of the Constitution. In simple terms, the very act of the incumbent Prime Minister inaugurating a temple in the utter violation of his oath of office and allegiance to the Constitution is highly improper, inappropriate, and total disobedience to the Constitution. Then the big question arises, whether this constitution is being adhered to, or is it being diluted and weakened by abusing the power and position got from it. The Constitution of India provides a comprehensive framework for the functioning of the government, delineates the powers and responsibilities of various institutions, and guarantees the fundamental rights to the citizens to achieve the core object of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Its relevance today is undeniable as it continues to guide the nation's governance, ensuring a balance between individual right and collective interest. It acts as a dynamic blueprint that upholds democratic principles, safeguards human rights, and fosters a pluralistic and inclusive society. But contrary to this mandate and belief, the present regime has amply demonstrated its version of liberty and free speech apply only to its supporters, and that it will not brook any criticism of its rule. Their leaders accused of rape, murder, incitement to communal violence, and even open calls for elimination of minorities are roaming free, while dissenters, civil society groups, political opponents are constantly facing the risk of being hauled up on trumped up charges. It is all the more alarming that the long arm of the present central government is now reaching across the seas to shut down the dissenters in the diaspora by any means necessary, including locking their social media accounts in India and other methods. Major media houses are totally made to surrender and dance to the tune of the ruling class, totally subverting the truth and ground realities. Communal divide, spreading hatred, constant threats and attacks on Dalits and minorities, civil societies has become the order of the day. The severe carbon financing civil society bodies and NGOs like Center for Policy Research, World Vision of India, and the like, using FCRA as a weapon to silence their voice and shut down such bodies whose work and service is not to the liking of the government and their party. That is, issues relating to civil liberties and human rights for political and ideological reasons is nothing but a message that India is no longer open for free flow of knowledge and ideas and protection of civil liberties and human rights, which is nothing but a negation of the Constitution and its prime objectives enshrined in its preamble, which the people in India presented to themselves, having taken a solemn resolution to make India a sovereign power of its own people to achieve the liberty, equality, and fraternity of all people, securing to all its citizens socio-economic and political equality and justice, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and opportunity, maintaining unity and integrity of the nation. In this context, it is very relevant to refer to the importance of the preamble of the Constitution of India. It is the guiding light in the interpretation of Constitution's texts. Its conflicts and ambiguities persist among its provisions. In Indira Gandhi versus Rajnarayan case 1975, the Supreme Court of India held that if there is any part of the Constitution which deserves greater devotion than any other part of it, it is certainly the preamble of the Constitution. The court further held that preambles of written constitutions are intended primarily to reflect the hopes and aspirations of the people. They resonate the ideal which the nation seeks to achieve. That is why Baba Sahib Ambedkar described preamble as a way of life, which recognize liberty, equality, and fraternity as principles of life. However, the Ayodhya event and the many happenings that have been taking place in the last 9 years, functioning of the parliament, executive, even a section of higher judiciary, and other constitutional and statutory bodies functioning invariably, we see that the Constitution of India is being diluted, weakened, distorted, undermining its basic structure and objectives without open defiance of the Constitution. The state is slowly drifting into the mode of Manusmriti, the ideological doctrine of the present Modi government, and ultimately to convert the state into majoritarian, autocratic Hindutva regime, giving go by to the democratic republic and socialist and secular fabric of the nation. They redefined their strategy using political power. They got from the very constitution of India and started employing legal language to enforce their majoritarian Hindutva agenda in various forms without publicly disregarding or discarding the constitution of India. The Ayodhya event is the pinnacle of that strategy, highest point of that strategy, drowning the majority population in communal frenzy and fanaticism, showing total disrespect to the constitutional ethos and mandate. What inference can we draw from these turn of events? Can we say that the Constitution of India is not effective and strong to curb such tendencies? Where the fault lies? The father of Indian Constitution, Baba Sahib Ambedkar, had a great foresight and vision and warned long back that we cannot find fault with the Constitution, as it is the people of India who got drafted the Constitution and presented themselves, and it is ultimately the people's responsibility to be vigilant and watch such distortive and destructive acts of the people at the helm of affairs and teach them a lesson at appropriate time, that is, elections. He said that the Constitution of India is strong enough to hold the country together in peace and war times. And if things goes wrong, it is not that we had bad constitution, but with bad constitution that will have to be said, and will have to say that the people who implement the Constitution of India are wild. If hereafter things goes wrong, we, that is the people of India, will have nobody to blame except ourselves. So, my friends, on this occasion, let us introspect and let us reassess how the Constitution of India is being implemented, whether they are adhering to the core objectives of the Constitution or resorting to distortion and dilution of its prime objectives and provisions of the Constitution to establish their own majoritarian hegemonic Hindutva rule in this country, discarding the prime objects of the Constitution. And we must be vigilant and take care to protect this Constitution by reading the preamble and reading it as a pledge, because it represents the hopes and aspirations of the people of India who laboriously drafted this constitution and presented unto themselves. So on this occasion, let us take a pledge by reading out the preamble of the constitution. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. And we do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this constitution. That is the essence of the constitution. We, the people, have drafted this constitution and presented it to ourselves, and we are bound by the objectives as enshrined in the preamble of the constitution. So let us take a oath that to ward off such distortive tendencies and to arrest such distortive tendencies by using our vote power and re-establish the constitutional supremacy in this country. Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat.